Late in the night of September 7th for most of Asia, or very early in the morning on September 8th in Japan, there was a total lunar eclipse happening this year in 2025. The full eclipse was visible across almost all of Asia. For this event, I brought out my visual astronomy equipment to catch a good view of the moon during the spectacle. This included my SV48P refractor telescope, the AM3 mount parked in alt-azimuth mode, and a new eyepiece I recently purchased, the SV230 Super Zoom eyepiece from SVBony. This lens combination provided for 25x up to nearly 63x magnification under high power. The penumbra darkening of the moon by the Earth's shadow started around half past midnight on Monday morning, September 8th. The total eclipse lasted for 93 minutes from 2:30 to 3:53 a.m. Given that late hour and it being a workday, I was actually surprised to see at least 5 or 6 other photographers show up after midnight. As you might expect, I was the first there since I had the most equipment and the most sophisticated setup. The venue was Kawawa-Fuji Park, my usual local imaging site. It's obviously well known among photographers as a prime viewing location for imaging the stars. The most surprising thing of the entire night was not the celestial event itself, but rather the fantastic weather and clear skies we had throughout that night. It was the only night during the week prior and forecasted for the week afterwards that was not totally overcast. What luck! Murphy's Law didn't apply. I guess he was sleeping. Although my primary objective that night was to relax and view with my telescope, I did bring along my Seestar S30 and an astro camera as well. For the first time, I used a time-lapse feature on the Seestar. I used it to image the starting penumbra phase up until the total eclipse. Here is the brief video. I programmed it to take one image every 60 seconds. It came out okay, but I learned that you cannot leave that menu screen during the imaging time period. Otherwise the sequence is terminated and you get a partial movie being made. It wasn't a big deal, but I had to restart it and stitch the movie snippets together again in post-processing. In my assessment, the Seestar is not well suited for imaging the dark red moon during the total eclipse phase. There simply is not enough flexibility to adjust the camera settings to get the right exposure under the solar system or the stargazing menu options. Hey, ZWO, this seems like an opportunity to create a kind of lunar eclipse subroutine application. That would really be nice. That night, my telescope was quite popular for anyone to catch a glimpse of the eclipsing moon. We also looked at Saturn, Jupiter, Pleiades, and Albireo. Having the OTA setup on the AM3 mount, automatically tracking objects across the sky, made it very convenient for everyone, especially me. The Zoom eyepiece turned out to be very popular, and I got a lot of positive comments from the more experienced users. This figure shows what the views were like through the eyepiece at the lowest and highest magnifications as simulated by Stellarium. I don't want to say too much more about this SV230 eyepiece since I am working on a detailed product review about it that I will publish later this month. During the penumbra phase, I took out my SC311 Wi-Fi camera to take a few images of the reddening moon. I do not use this camera very often since its capabilities are rather limited during nighttime use, but one thing it does well is image the moon, and being a Wi-Fi device with a built-in battery, it's super convenient. Unfortunately, I forgot that this sensor and telescope combination had a field of view smaller than the full moon, but nevertheless the partial images are rather stunning. And by the way, these images were captured under normal white balance settings and not modified post-processing. This is the actual red color the camera recorded. These were taken under high gain using the maximum exposure time setting on the SC311 camera, which is 5 seconds, while doing Alt-Az tracking, of course. They were all single frame snapshots, not stacked images. By the way, I reviewed this camera last year when I compared it to the original version, the SC001 model. A link to that video is included in the notes below. This here is perhaps my best image of the night. And this is clearly a composite image, trying to put two images together to cover the entire moon in one visual. I was kind of surprised at how dark the sky became during the total eclipse phase. I never noticed that before, probably because I never saw an eclipse on a cloudless night. It was pretty cool to see the skies darken and the stars brighten for those fleeting 93 minutes of time. And the moon was remarkably dark as well. It's easy to imagine how ancient people considered the lunar eclipse as a bad omen and something to be feared. But for us, this ended up being a very fun and interesting night. There were probably more than 30 persons that came and went during the night to view the celestial event or just randomly wandered by. It turned out being like a spontaneous star party with a bunch of friendly strangers. Everyone had a good time. This has been Astrophotography Japan. Here in Yokohama, I am JP Astro Guy. My name is Paul Cheesegel, and thank you for your interest in my Asian night sky adventures.